advocating the voting for women. You know, women were excluded from the vote in the United States until 1920. I was kind of flabbergasted. The context, you know, all time and history. And she's being greeted by a policeman who knows her because she's prepared to go to jail. She's like, hey, I have lots of money. I came up on a train. We're calling it the prison train because when we get up and we demonstrate, you're going to throw us in prison, right? Yep, she went to prison with everybody else. Her husband was dead by this time, just so you know. So. And this image I thought was kind of interesting because some people might have thought that this suffragette movement was maybe a little bit of a frivolous kind of peaceful movement. No, 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 they were put down. The establishment did not like this. And of course we see male policemen grabbing women. This is interesting. I like the way this guy, his expression on his face. He's not a policeman. But notice he's waiting until the policeman's got her hands tied to come up and yell. Okay? Okay, now we have Gertrude Stein, another art collector. She's sitting in front of a portrait she had done by Pablo Picasso. Gertrude Stein. Gertrude Stein was, ran a salon in Paris that was very popular with American expatriates, and it was also, as women started to attain professional standing as artists, it was almost mandatory that you had to go to Paris, you had to go to Europe, you had to go to Rome, you had to study what were called the old masters, who were all male, of course. Gertrude Stein also had friends, the Cohn sisters, Claribel and Etta Cohn, from the Cohn Mills Manufacturing Company. That's where their fortune was made. They inherited a huge fortune. And they traveled in Europe together. They were very close. And now we have the sisters Etta and Claribel. They established the Baltimore Museum of Art. Extensive, amazing collection there of modern art and art of all kinds. And of course you see now the costumes are taken. Now the corset is the main fashion feature here. Not natural at all. Also, if you notice, Victorian ages. I love that lady's hat that's there, which looks like a male top hat, really. Okay, now I'm going to just shoot over to another area a woman who had a very profound influence on modern dance. But we say modern dance, she actually was going back in time with a lot of her dances. She had a statement, nobody cares if you can't dance well, just get up and dance. Break dancers are not great because of their technique, they're great because of their passion. And here we have a couple of images of her. She was, some might call her reactionary, but I think she was goddess-based and tried to recreate a lot of rituals that have been long forgotten. And certainly if this was pre-writing, these steps and these different rituals were not passed on. Some of them might have filtered through some of the Greek tragedies that are still sometimes performed, but she was a extreme proponent and very passionate. And here she makes a statement, some men have thousands of reasons. Now, we're not picking on men and bashing on men, I'm just communicating what she said. She could have said some people, but she chose to say men. And knowing her, she might have had a particular reason for doing that. Some men have thousands of reasons why they cannot do what they want to, when all they need is one reason why they can. Now some of this I'd like to just mention that, you know, kids growing up today need certain, oh, we have a question, yes, yes.
Well, I just want to say, I took some classes with Martha Graham and they were studying.
Oh, did you?
Because if you spent the first 15 minutes breathing, and she just knew Eastern understanding of breathing so well that you were flying at the end of the class. So in that sense of that concentration on the one, I think came from Asia, from her understanding of the Asian spirituality.
Right, okay.
And I was grateful to you for those images because they are so essential to her work.
Yes. And I'll tell you what, I'll take advantage of that question. Does anyone have any other questions or something they'd like to mention or discuss or talk about? We okay? Everybody, you with me? I mean, not necessarily on my side, but you know, a little controversial here. Okay, this is Maya Angelou. A lot of people don't know she was a professional dancer in her younger days. The writer and poet Maya Angelou meets Malcolm X during the 1960s. I was like, wow. Okay, tried to pick some images, and here's President Obama giving her the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2001. I will move to Abby Aldrich Rockefeller, the wife of John D. Rockefeller. She was one of the founders with two other women, Lily Bliss and Mary Quinn. I have different dates here when she was the treasurer, vice president, and vice chairman. And Abby Aldrich Rockefeller also gave generously to the Met her own collection of 1,600 prints, helped give things to the cloisters and the Rhode Island School of Design. And it's a portrait by an artist, Robert Blackman. Here's an interesting book about her if you want to find out more about her. She was the daughter of Senator Nelson Aldrich, Republican from Rhode Island, and he was feared in the Senate. Most powerful, kind of like, well, we won't mention any names, but the interesting thing I wanted to point out is her husband, in the beginning, forbade her to purchase modern art. He didn't understand. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing spending your money on this stuff? She's like, you know what? I have money. I'll buy my own art, okay? You just pay attention to the oil and let me worry about the art. And here she is on Time magazine, 1936. And John D. wasn't on there. Okay, so Junior, but John D. Sr. was. So that's kind of a coup for her. And this is a sculpture garden at the Abby Aldrich Rockefeller Sculpture Garden in MoMA. And Henry Moore did the sculpture in 1948 called Family Group, probably representing Abby, her husband, and her children. Not so much of the goddesses, you notice. A little smoothed out, a little cleaned up. No, okay. Progress. Now this I found fascinating. Brigitte Bardot and Jean Moreau, or Jean. French actors, actresses, very famous in their own country. Traditional kind of can is the movie they were in. And then I came across this from the same movie, and I go, whoa, okay. He's got a machine gun, shooting at someone, I don't know who. As you can see, you know, that contrast, you know, strong, powerful. Yeah, we can be feminine and charm you. Don't get too comfortable. The movie was called Viva Maria. Now I'm just going to mention quickly gypsies. They're kind of the forgotten vagabond wanderers. They symbolize freedom, mobility, and exotic music and dance. And I think their camps kind of preceded the circuses and carnivals of today. They pull up in the outskirts of town, give you a show, and then they move on. And you will see many, many fashions that are inspired by the gypsies. This I kind of thought was interesting. In 1924, what we call a lobby card was in the lobby as people going into the cinema. And there's a book on the left that says, When a Man's a Man, by Harry L. Wright. 1920s, okay, roaring 20s. We see men kind of exerting, you know, a lot of financial goings-ons, right? A lot of wealth. Wow, the Great Gatsby, Ernest Hemingway, go out there, you know, macho man, and I fish and I hunt, and I'm a writer, and I'm strong, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, he was. Bessie Coleman. 1921, the first African-American aviator to get a professional pilot's license. She had to get it in France. Could not get it in this country. It's against the law. Now we'll move to Maud Dale. She was married to Chester Dale, an investment mogul. She studied in Paris and was an art critic in her own right. Now when Chester made his wealth in trading securities on Wall Street, she helped him assemble an art collection. She kind of got him into it. He was kind of going around wanting to do things in his leisure time. And Maud Dale said, listen, Chester, we're going to do this. Let's do it seriously. We want what we call painters with ancestors. So they collected a whole spectrum of art, mainly French. And there's a picture of Maud with Georgia O'Keeffe. Maud had her portrait painted by various modernist painters. And this is a portrait on the left of her, 1923, by Jean Gabriel. My French is not good at all. Montmoric. And this is one she had done by Fernand Leguet. Leguet, thank you. You sign me up for French lessons. Who said that? Who said that? See, I'm born in the Bronx with that nasal, and I worked so hard to get rid of it. They said, no, French, you have to. I worked too long to get rid of that. Sorry. Okay, this is Diana the Huntress. This is that same Chester Dale collection. We have again a Greek goddess with a bow. Sometimes she would shoot men if they intruded on her naked acolytes who like to bathe and enjoy nature running around. You know, the men were excluded here. So Maud said, Chester, you're buying this. Actually, his nickname was Chesterdale. They just, like Chesterfield cigarettes, Chesterdale. She even called him that. He called himself that. Very eccentric character. Now we'll do a quick Isadora Duncan. Okay. I used to think she was a Croton lady. Actually, a sister of hers lived in Croton, and she made numerous visits here, from what I understand. Anybody correct me if I'm wrong. Notice she's going back in time. Here, she is engaging in a day of when the ballets and the tutus and the high toe shoes and kind of restricting garments. He says, no. This is the essence of dance. Now this is a little broadside poster from the Hudson Fulton celebration where they were celebrating not quite a centennial, right? 1609, 1807. Some of these math was off there. Why they have this too? Oh, those are the ships. I'm sorry. The ships that the goddess in the center is holding. 1609, Half Moon. 1807 was the Fulton steamship. The celebration, of course, was in 1909. I wrote that here on the bottom. Figure goddess of commerce? I always thought Mercury. If you notice the helmet, the winged helmet she's wearing. So I think this was their way of kind of giving the women a little more presence. There were certainly a lot of women like this particular goddess image, Alphonse Mucha, showing the moon goddess and how women are reflected through the moon in its different phases and different qualities. Had to include Madam C.J. Walker. She made millions selling hair care products to African Americans. They have the middle pictures before using, and then on the opposite sides how your hair is nice and straight. So we have, these images of African Americans trying to fit into the predominant culture, and Madam Walker took advantage of that. Now we're going to move to a little area where we have a woman who worked at a museum where there were works of art stored, many of them modern, but also from the Louvre throughout time. They used a catalog that she was secretly recording when the Nazis occupied Paris. And her book is what allowed the Allies to recover art stolen by the Nazis during World War II. And this is a picture of her in the museum. She was also a captain in the resistance. I mean, she really went over, way and beyond. Nazis could have killed her, but there was something about her that I guess stopped them. And this is a monument to her, actually done on a building. It looks so three-dimensional. Of course, there's windows on the bottom. But I thought this was a great homage to her, having these painted pictures, including the Mona Lisa here, which was under threat. And the different paintings here crated up, and they're all important ones were whisked out of sight so the Nazis could not get to them. And they got very few, if any, from the Louvre, from what I understand. Now this was a recent movie I was ecstatic about, seeing that they were making a movie about the Monuments Men. This is that United States military unit that was assigned to recover and protect any important works of art that they came across in Europe. Actually, calling commanders to say, look, don't bomb that church. That church is from the 15th century. And the guys on the other end says, what? Who is this? Well, I'm under orders for Dwight D. Eisenhower for you to not bomb this church. Oh, I guess I'm not bombing the church. But I was kind of a little ticked when I saw that the Rose Villard, her name was changed to Claire Simone in the film by George Clooney. It's like, why change the name? Why not give this person some credit and some exposure for the gallantry that she exhibited? And, So anyway, here we have a little, now we're back to a little more of that Victorian. We're going to show Lillian Gish later, but they were silent era stars. D.W. Griffith, who filmed in Fort Lee, New Jersey, as well as in Mamaroneck, believe it or not. They were these innocent and frail heroines who rose above adversity to intelligence, humor, and feminine charms, not physical strength. And now we have Lillian Gish in a movie called The Night of the Hunter, 1955. Things have changed.